Carolina Insider is presented by Wells Fargo, official sponsor of Carolina Athletics.
We're back. Time for another edition of the Carolina Insider. My name is Jones Angell. That over there is Adam Lucas, and we're excited to be with you for the next 25-30 minutes or so. A lot of Tar Heel topics to discuss, and we're, of course, brought to you by Wells Fargo. When our communities need us, Wells Fargo is here to help. So we have Bubba Cunningham, the AD at Carolina, joining us in just a little bit. Give us an update on a wide variety of topics. Of course, Adam, we have the social drive coming up, but let's start with football. And a wild win for sure this past Saturday for Carolina in Kenan Stadium, down 21 points with a little less than 7 minutes to play, and yet the Heels come back and win it against Wake Forest. Just a crazy game and big-time win for the Tar Heels.
If you felt like it was a record-breaking or record-tying game, you were right in lots of different ways. Biggest comeback Carolina's had ties that. Biggest comeback ever at Kenan Stadium for Tar Heel football. And, of course, all sorts of offensive records as lots of Tar Heel individuals had a lot of success in that game, which was a really important win for both the program and the team just as this season goes along. Beating Wake Forest puts that on the right path. The individuals start, of course, with Sam Howell. 550 passing yards for Sam Howell. Great day for him, as you would expect, Jones. Sam Howell, the ACC Player of the Week.
Yeah, ACC Quarterback of the Week. Also, the Davey O'Brien National Player of the Week. There you see it, the National QB of the Week, and you see some of those numbers as well. 550 passing yards that Adam mentioned, the 7 total touchdowns, 6 passing touchdowns. The yards, by the way, were the 3rd highest in ACC history, and you see on that graphic that Carolina football sent out, the passing touchdown tied an ACC record as well. Also, Daz Newsome and Michael Carter earned ACC honors for their performance in this game. Newsome with a season high in receptions with 10, a career high in yards, also had 2 touchdowns. Michael Carter, a big day, had a long receiving touchdown in the game. De'Ami Brown, who did not win any of these awards, he had over 100 yards receiving as well. So a massive day for Carolina offensively. And also need to mention Javonte Williams. Adam, Javonte went over 100 yards, had another touchdown in this game, and he was a late add. And it seems to make sense that maybe we'll see him get added to several of these lists as the final few weeks of the season go along, but added to the Maxwell Award watch list, which is given to the Offensive Player of the Year in the nation.
Little buzz building about Javonte Williams nationally. We'll see, maybe Doak Walker Award. There's been some talk about him for that this year. That's the top running back in the country. But as we've said on the audio podcast, whatever buzz Javonte Williams wants to get, he has the opportunity here in just about a week against Notre Dame. College football world will be watching. If he has a normal Javonte Williams game, there'll be all the talk about Javonte Williams that you could possibly hope for.
That Notre Dame game is next. We'll get to that in a second. Do also want to mention that Michael Carter and Chaz Surratt both accepted invitations to the Senior Bowl coming up. That's always a great way to give yourself one last showcase on the field as a senior. That is something that NFL scouts pay a lot of attention to. And Adam, both those guys are going to have the opportunity at the next level for sure.
And I thought really cool for Michael Carter, who said he actually grew up going to that game in person. To now be able to play in it and use that as a springboard to his professional career is great. And a good story on Chaz Surratt this week as people start talking about the NFL draft. A good story online about him and his path to becoming one of the most sought-after linebackers that they'll be in the draft this coming spring.
All right, now let's talk schedule because Carolina's next game is against Notre Dame. That is the day after Thanksgiving, Black Friday, so a Friday game. And big-time time slot, Adam, day after Thanksgiving, 3:30, national television. Radio-wise, we'll be on the air at 2:30 to get you ready. And Notre Dame's going to be 1 or 2 in the country when that game occurs, depending on what else happens around the nation, because the Irish are off this weekend as well, just like the Tar Heels, and there will be a lot of attention on that game.
Man, if you weren't already mad at COVID, that game is going to really make you mad at COVID, because just imagine what Chapel Hill would be like, what Kenan Stadium would be like for that game on that Friday at 3:30, the day after Thanksgiving. That's the kind of game Mac Brown is trying to build this program to. 7% capacity at Kenan Stadium, the best that will be allowed. So just make do with what you have. The crowd that was there for the Wake Forest game, even though they were small, as Mac Brown said, they were mighty. And Carolina will need to be mighty in every phase of the game because Notre Dame is legitimately good.
And then, Adam, the final 2 games of the regular season after the Notre Dame game, there's been a flip. Western Carolina and Miami. Carolina's dates flipping with those 2 opponents. Miami having to shut its program down for a couple of weeks due to elevated COVID numbers. That caused a cascade of changes across the ACC. And Carolina, one of those teams that had its schedule changed. So now it will be Saturday, December the 5th. Carolina will host Western Carolina on that day in Chapel Hill, Saturday, December the 5th, and then Saturday, December the 12th. That will be Carolina's final regular season game. That will be in Miami. So Western Carolina now on Saturday the 5th at Miami now on December the 12th. So still a lot of football to play, even though we're here at the end of November, getting into early December, still several games left for the Tar Heels. All right, let's take a look at some other sports around Chapel Hill. And unfortunately, Adam, neither of the soccer teams had their fall seasons end the way they wanted. Women's soccer falls just short in the ACC championship game against Florida State. Of course, a long way still to go as the NCAA season and the national championship will be decided in the spring. And men's soccer lost in overtime in the ACC tournament to Notre Dame. It was a 1-0 final with an overtime goal for the Irish. And even with that, the men's soccer team still ranked number 4 in the nation. And so not the way those 2 seasons, ACC seasons, wanted to end, but still a lot of action still to come for both those programs.
We've talked about it plenty here before, but just such an unusual year in so many different ways. Normally you finish the ACC championship, you're ready to see the pairings for the NCAA tournament. This time you'll come back in the spring, play some regular season matches, then go into the NCAA tournament. Who knows, teams may be different, individuals may be different, but both the men's soccer and women's soccer team going to be on that very short list of national contenders come springtime.
By the way, I learned something earlier this week, and I had a different conversation with Bubba Cunningham than the one that you're going to see coming up here in just a few minutes. And he said that actually a lot of soccer programs had been pushing for their seasons to be like it will play out this year. So actually start in the fall, stretch out a little bit longer into the spring because of traditional soccer campaign. You don't have so many games bunched together like they do at the college level. So at least if you're a soccer fan, keep an eye on that's something, a little bit of a forced test balloon this year for that schedule and see if it changes anytime in the future. All right, men's and women's basketball, the recruiting classes coming in, and another great class for the women's basketball team. Adam, number 2 in the nation. That's now back-to-back classes that have been ranked nationally in the top 10. So Courtney Banghart and her staff doing a terrific job bringing in some high-level talent to Carolina women's basketball.
Yeah, as Jen said, this year's class that's now on campus practicing was a top 10 class nationally. So Courtney Banghart really restructuring that program to bring in the type of player that she wants to coach. I think that team's going to be pretty good this year. They've got a lot of home games. Of course, we can't go, more than likely. But they've got a lot of home games before they jump into ACC play. I think the women's basketball team going to be much improved even just over last year.
And the men also signing 2 new players. And Adam, they are both North Carolina natives.
Always love getting those in-state Tar Heels. They just have a little something extra. They know what Carolina basketball is about. They many times grew up around it and have a little deeper understanding of it. So looking forward to getting Dontrez Styles and DeMarco Dunn both on campus next fall. Both pretty skilled out on the perimeter and will help Carolina shoot the ball from the outside, which, as we know, something that the Tar Heels can always use more of.
And who knows, also that class not locked and loaded. There might be more to come also for both those programs as they continue forward with those recruiting classes and beyond. And of course, it's been such a challenging recruiting time for everybody across the country, having to rethink how you recruit when you can't have official visits, can't go see players play in person. So certainly a unique time for a lot of things, that included. And just to finish things up, Adam, before we get to our interview with Bubba, a quick schedule update for men's basketball. We have learned at least the times of the first 2 home games. Carolina only has one home game in November, one home game in December, and you see there 6 o'clock, Carolina against College of Charleston. That's coming up soon. It's less than a week from now. It'll be Wednesday, November 25th in the Smith Center, and then the only home game for the Tar Heels in December, a 3 o'clock start against Elon on December 12th, and that December 12th date has suddenly become very busy. If you remember what we just said a few minutes ago, Carolina will now be playing Miami on the road in football that day as well. So there'll be both football and men's basketball on December the 12th.
And who knows? Maybe we'll be sitting right back here after those home basketball games. Keep an eye on GoHeels.com and all your normal social media channels to find out more about that as it gets a little closer.
All right, we still have a lot to do on the show. Our social drive coming up in a few, but first, Adam and I had the chance to catch up with Tar Heel AD Bubba Cunningham just to give us an update on everything that's been going on over the last few weeks. We'll go to that social drive after that here on the Carolina Insider. During these crazy last couple of months, we have tried to keep you as up-to-date as possible with regular check-ins with Carolina Athletic Director Bubba Cunningham, and it is time for another. So excited to be joined by Bubba today. So, Bubba, let me just give you the general, how things going? What's going on? I know a lot on your plate right now.
Oh, things are going really well. It's kind of a strange time, if you will. You know, volleyball is done, soccer's now done, football has 3 more games to go, cross country's done, and we're in finals week. When was the last time we were in finals week before football was done? So
Right.
it just, the rhythm of the whole year has been very disrupted. But I think our coaches and our kids have done a fabulous job staying connected and staying on task. But they need a break. You know, I think the semester is winding down and everybody's tired. And so it'll be good for the kids to get out for a while and then come back.
It seems like a lot of things happen every week. This week, the ACC football schedule moved around, which affected the Tar Heels. When something like that happens, how does it all unfold on your side to then put everything into place?
Well, you'd like to say it's just smooth. You know, we've already planned for that. No chance. That didn't. We have no idea what's coming. The phone rings. I got an email the other day, yesterday or day before, urgent call. And I didn't even look to see who was on it, but it was ADs. And that was the domino of Miami sitting out for 2 weeks. So 6 of us were on the call. We went through a bunch of different options of how we're going to shuffle the schedule that impacted Louisville, Boston College, Georgia Tech, Miami, Wake Forest, and us. And so we got that done. And it was at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock last night. Wake Forest not playing Duke.
Right.
So you just don't know. And when we started talking about planning for the season, we knew we were going to have disruption. We've been really fortunate. We haven't had very much in any of our sports. Unfortunately now, just right here toward the end, we're getting a couple, like the rest of the country. But then you say, okay, what can we do? We want to provide these opportunities to play. We all have to work together to get some kind of an outcome, and that's what we're trying to do. Fortunately, in this change, ours wasn't too bad. We flipped the Miami game in the Western Carolina, knock on wood, that it stays that way. We've got 2 weeks before we play Notre Dame, and then we'll get to those last 2 games.
Bubba, also a couple of pieces of basketball news, most notably the NCAA tournament stating that the plan was to have the entire event at one central location. I'd be interested in your thoughts on that information.
Well, I think it's a really smart idea. You know, normally there's 14 cities. You know, you've got Dayton, you have the first and second round sites, you have the regional sites, and then you go to the championship site. So flying all those teams all over the country, 68 teams, it just doesn't seem to make sense. Mm-hmm. The less travel you have, the more you can keep people together, the better. So right now the thought is one city and multiple venues within that city. So you could actually have a progression toward the Final Four within a particular city. But you know, we're all concerned about it. Can we actually do that? Can we pull it off? I think we can. And I'll give a ton of credit to Dan Gavitt and Joanne Scott at the NCAA, Mitch Barnhart, who runs the NCAA Men's Basketball Committee. And they're doing a great job doing a lot of research and coming up with what I think is a good alternative. And you know, maybe for 1 year, it's a great thing to try. I've seen a lot of different court configurations. I've seen different courts, and we'll see how the whole thing comes together.
We're getting closer to Carolina basketball being able to play a game. What plans are in place, do we know yet, for fans to be able to come or not come to the Smith Center?
Well, I think not come is probably something that would probably be top of mind. You know, we really focus on playing. We're doing everything we can to create a safe environment for the student athletes. So the bench setup, the scorer's table, all of those things will be completely different. The bleachers are going to be pushed back, more spacing. We're down the sideline and around the baseline with some of our team personnel. So what we're going to try to do is get some of our families in. Families of the players is our top priority. The second priority would be our students. Can we get some students in when they come back for second semester? Just traveling from county to county, across state lines, coming together in an indoor facility and then returning to your community just doesn't seem like something we should be doing right now. So one, can we let the kids participate safely? Can we let their family in? And then when we have a community here on campus, can we get them in safely as well? I think that's probably where we're going to end up throughout the entire season.
Bubba, you mentioned several of the fall sports have now completed. How did it go? Just with the protocols, the different safety measures, trying to compete in these unique times. In your opinion, how did all that shake out?
I think it went really well. I think the kids have trained and worked hard and wanted to participate. They had that opportunity to participate. Our positive cases were minimal. We traveled safely. Our team meetings, the way we ate, I think was very helpful. And, we got to play a fair number of games. So our fall sports are cut by 20% in the total number of contests they can have. Our spring sports are going to be cut by 10%. We had some ACC championships in the fall, and then the NCAA championships for those fall sports will be in the spring. So I think overall it was a success. Those are the experiences that we're trying to have as a campus community. I mean, going to school online is really not what people that come to Carolina want to do.
Right.
There is a sense of community. There is Chapel Hill. You want to do that. The sports, the pit, all the things that you experience on campus, we're trying to replicate in the safest way possible. So overall, I think it went really well.
You mentioned at the very beginning the unusual schedule where the fall semester is going to be over by Thanksgiving. For student athletes who are not playing basketball, I guess, who are going to go home for a month or more, what do you tell them before they leave in order for them to come back and everyone feel comfortable that, okay, we are going to get to play all these sports in the rest of the winter and spring that we hope to?
Well, just like we did this fall, we'll have a roadmap for our student athletes, just like the university has a way to bring people back to campus. You can't just say, all of a sudden, okay, 30,000 people come on back, let's see how it goes. What we're going to do is bring our teams in phases. We'll test them when they get back. They'll have to quarantine a little bit when they're here, and then they can get into practice, and then they can get into competition. So it will be a roadmap and an up-ramp, if you will, to get people back. We hope that they condition while they're off for break. Athlete like yourself, I know how important that is to you over the holidays.
I'm in peak condition all the
routine.
time. That's right.
And so our student athletes are almost as disciplined as you are, so that'll be an easy thing for them to do.
That's my hope.
Bubba, I know you have several initiatives that are going on kind of outside just the immediate bubble of Carolina athletics, one of which is a big youth sports initiative that you just recently launched. Tell us a little bit about that and just all these other different things that you have your hands in right now.
Well, thanks, Jones. I mean, one of the reasons I love Carolina so much is we have that broad-based program.
Sure.
And that's what I believe in. I believe in students coming to a university on a scholarship or not, getting a great education and participating in sport. And so sport is central to a lot of things in my life and a lot of other people's lives. And so how do we maintain those opportunities for kids to compete and get that great education? Well, for me, it starts in youth sports. So we've developed a relationship with the National Fitness Foundation and the youth sports program, the youth sports strategy out of the Health and Human Services Department of Education at the United States level. And so we're partnering with them to try to continue to support youth sports in our community. We want those kids to play youth sports, high school sports, college sports. I'm also involved with the USOPC. We want our college athletes to continue to train so that they can represent the United States in the Olympics. So we want to continue to expand that continuum of sport opportunity, the health benefits, the leadership benefits, the teamwork, the socialization skills. All of those things I think are tremendously helpful to our society. Given the pandemic, the race issues, the social issues, the political issues that we have today, sports is a way to bring people together, to build a sense of community and create healthier lifestyles. So to me, youth sports, Olympic sports, University of North Carolina sits right in the middle, and I couldn't be more proud to be a part of it.
Bubba, last thing before we let you go, Carolina Victory Fund. What is that? How can people be a part of it?
That's a very important fund because that's how we support what we're doing. So without fans at the games this year, we have television, and that's been fantastic because we've shown our kids on live broadcasts. And this building right here provides that opportunity for us to create those broadcasts. But what we don't have is ticket revenue. And the Victory Fund is something that will allow us to continue to offer the 28 sports, to continue to offer those scholarships. And the generosity of our season ticket holders, our Rams Club members, the Carolina community is critically important to the ongoing success of our program. So that is what that fund is about. How do we replace ticket revenue for this year? We know that this year is a tough year financially. We think we can get out of it next year, and the support that we get from our fans and from our alumni is really most appreciated.
Busy time, unique time to be sure, but always great to see you. Thanks for giving us a few minutes and keeping us up to date.
Well, great being with you guys. I really appreciate what you do. You keep us entertained. You bring back alumni that want to share their stories, and that is the sense of community that goes well beyond the playing field. So thanks for all you do.
That's Bubba Cunningham, AD here at Carolina. We appreciate Bubba's time, and our interview, as always, brought to you by Coca-Cola. Coke tastes better together and is a proud partner of Carolina Athletics. All right, time to go to our social drive as we bounce around social media, find relevant Tar Heel topics. And Adam, we start with the NBA draft. Cole Anthony going number 15 to the Orlando Magic. Let's take a look back at the moment when Cole heard his name called.
With the 15th pick in the 2020 NBA draft, the Orlando Magic select Cole Anthony from the University of North Carolina.
Hey, I recognize one of those guys.
Big group celebrating Cole's selection by the Magic, including Spike Lee, obviously, randomly there. And Adam, great to see for Cole, and we didn't have the interview there, but he was emotional afterwards and clear how much the injury that he dealt with last season affected him. He said it really was a hard year in that regard for him trying to battle through that injury. And so certainly, hopefully he's healthy and has a great career.
Changed the year for him and for the Tar Heels.
No, absolutely.
You couldn't get Spike Lee a chair? Spike Lee's got to sit on the ground? Like, that's how familiar we are with Spike Lee. But great news for Cole Anthony. That seems like a good fit for him. Roy Williams now has 33 first-round NBA draft picks in his 32 seasons as a head coach between Kansas and Carolina. So tradition continues for Carolina basketball in the NBA draft.
And certainly a tradition of excellence at the point guard position for Carolina basketball, and that includes Marcus Page. I'm not sure, Adam, what language is that? Where is Marcus now?
Marcus is in Serbia, and now we know how to spell Marcus Page in Serbian. What we do know is he went 8 of 10 from 3 in this game.
There's one. This is just Marcus being Marcus. I mean, look, it looks like just like we saw at Carolina, maybe a little bit bigger and older and wiser, but that's just Marcus being Marcus.
What we learned from this video is it doesn't matter what country you're in, what kind of ball you use, what language they're speaking. Marcus Page can shoot the ball and doing very well in Serbia, and he seems to like it and be comfortable over there.
All right, let's go from a hot shooting exhibition of Marcus Page, a terrific Tar Heel point guard. Oh, I was going to let us watch one more, but that's all right. To some terrific passes from a Tar Heel point guard as this came out on social media this past week, Adam. And, I mean, this is vintage Kendall Marshall. Part of what made him such a terrific player at Carolina was his vision to do things just like this. And he had a couple of perfect big men, too, in Tyler Zeller and John Henson, who ran the floor at such a high level.
This really was the perfect marriage of a point guard who understands how to hit ahead and big men who understand that if they run the floor, they will be rewarded. Both Henson and Zeller, as you see Henson here finishing. Look, you celebrate all you want, John Henson, but you know you were in a dogfight. Just a perfect grouping there, and Roy Williams has really emphasized this to this year's team. You can't ask Caleb Love and R.J. Davis to make passes exactly like this on their first day, but Roy Williams has emphasized the need for the guards to move the ball ahead, and for those, Carolina's got a lot of big men. Whoever runs the floor the best might earn the most playing time. I can watch Kendall Marshall hit ahead passes all day long.
He's got to be it's always hard to say the best. One of the best ever to do it at Carolina in that particular skill, right?
Oh, I think he is the best at that skill. I don't know who I would put in that group with him.
Okay, Adam, this has been something that we've been tracking for a while, of course. If you were with us back in the spring, you remember that Carolina assistant track and field coach Dylan Sorensen broke a world record in the spring for running a mile while dribbling a basketball. That record had since been broken multiple...
By Jones.
I didn't quite get there. I did run a mile dribbling a basketball. Mine was 3 minutes longer than what Dylan was able to do. But since then, Dylan's record has been broken, so he decided to do it again. We talked about this recently with a little bit of a charitable tie as well, asking people to donate money for the Forever Tar Heels campaign. And we've got some video. Dylan earlier this week went out and just barely beat the new world record. Let's check it out.
Set, go!
4:33.73. Adam, if I'm not mistaken, the previous record was 4:33.75. So 0.02 of a second, new world record for Dylan Sorensen.
Nobody asks you how much did you break the world record by.
Right.
They just say, are you a world record holder? And Dylan Sorensen today can say yes. Encourage you to go to ramsclub.com and participate in that fundraising campaign because Dylan Sorensen really doing great work for Forever Tar Heels with that event.
Yeah, just asking for a $15 donation to match the 15 women's sports that are at Carolina. And of course, that Forever Tar Heel campaign looking to raise $100 million for women's athletics at Carolina. Of course, one of those excellent women's programs at Carolina is women's soccer. Tobin Heath, one of the previous stars for the Tar Heels, now playing for Manchester United overseas. And Tobin had quite a goal a little bit earlier that we were able to capture.
Better opportunity than they first thought. She scored here. It's Chelsea in the opening game of the season. It's Heath! And she's brought Manchester United back into it. One chance, one goal, quality. Tobin Heath.
Adam, I would call that a cracker off the foot of Tobin Heath on that one.
You and some other people.
Yeah.
I would like to have Tobin Heath on the video pod. I think we should try to get her via Skype or whatever. I don't understand how the ball moved the way it did on that goal, but that's why she's Tobin Heath.
All right, let's go, sticking with soccer, to Dorrance Field. We found this online earlier this week, Adam, and Bubba Cunningham. See, when you're the AD, you have to make important decisions like asking why there's a red phone at one of Carolina's venues and getting that rectified.
Before Bubba Cunningham came in the studio today, we made certain that all the phones were of proper color and artistry, but that's just getting stuff done. He's right. Shouldn't have a red phone. And look, who wouldn't want to have that phone in their either soccer stadium or home?
Yeah, a nice move there with the little NC logo too, not just changing the color, but getting the logo on there. Adam, let's go back to last week and the Wake Forest game quickly as we wrap things up here. You may remember that we were able to give away a couple of tickets to the Wake Forest game, and our winner from that game was Luke. Luke sent us a picture and had a great time. We actually heard from Luke a couple of times during the day, sent some pictures, and was very appreciative. He and I believe his mom came to the game, and they had a great time and saw a terrific Tar Heel comeback.
Man, that's awesome. And he, as you said, he got to see a game that he'll never forget. Always great to hear from people who say, you don't understand how much I love and care about going to these games. So that warmed our hearts, and so we're going to do it again.
Yep.
The next football game, Jones, is Notre Dame. Tickets are a little warm. So what we need you to do, subscribe to the audio podcast and listen to tomorrow's, that's Fridays, and we'll tell you how to get your 2 Notre Dame tickets we're going to give away for the Notre Dame game next Friday.
So our schedule is going to get a little choppy here over the next few weeks on the video podcast. We will not be here the next 2 weeks. Next 2 weeks, no show because of holidays, travel, some different things going on. So no show for 2 weeks. Then we're going to be back for a couple of weeks in December before taking another break around the Christmas and New Year holiday. But most important to remember, no show the next 2 weeks. But of course, you can still get all your Tar Heel information on GoHeels.com, any of the Go Heels social media outlets as well. And there will still be audio versions of the Carolina Insider podcast coming out regularly during this time. So we look forward to seeing you in a couple weeks on the next video edition of the Carolina Insider.
See you later, Big Grit.